my channel. It is your girl, Shay. You have not seen me a day in your life, child. So let me introduce myself. My name is Shay. I have started this channel. This is Bo. Don't worry about him, child. Let's just give a backstory. So I was watching Pastor Michael McClure on Rock City TV, and he was talking about like what all pastors once in a while speak about, how it's your time. God is setting this table for you. Be prepared. The last year was rough, but you're about to step into 2025. You know the spiel. And something about this time stood out to me a little bit more. And so let me rewind a little bit too. I made 40 this year. And this year I was like, oh, we about to do this. We about to do the thing. That decade was trash, basura. And we about to get into some things. I am ready. And then boom, my grandmother passed a couple weeks before my birthday. And I was like, dang, God, like, what's the problem? Like, you really do not like me, like, for real. Like, and I know, and Pastor McClure talked about this too, like, that's an immature mindset. But listen, I'm new to this whole thing. So if you want a genuine, real conversation about your faith, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because your girl is gonna keep it a buck 50 while still walking in my new path and still asking questions and all this stuff. So if you don't mind, continue watching. But like I was saying, like, I was just like, God, like, what is the tea? Like, you really do not like me. Like, the last decade have been so trash. Like, there's been some blessings that have occurred, but it was more negative stuff than positive. I'll just keep it real. Some had to do with just the bad decisions that I made, and I just didn't listen to that voice inside. And a lot I just didn't get it. Like, you know how they talk about you being God's strongest soldiers, and I'm just like, dude, I don't want it. I don't want it. So after that happened with my grandmother, I just really hated, like, not hated, that's a strong word. I was really upset with God. Like, I was really upset with God. I started reading the Bible and in the beginning of the year, and then when that happened with my grandmother, I just stopped. Like, I barely spoke to God. I barely said my prayers. I barely did anything, because I genuinely, if I could be completely honest, I was just very upset. Because, like, how could you take the one person, like, there's two, but like, this is a major person. How could you just take them away from me? Like, I feel like I have nothing left. So fast forward, I usually watch church on TV, and this particular message came up, and I was like, oh, here another pastor talking about, oh yeah, it's your turn, and don't worry about it, like, God got you. He let you go through these trials, but you gonna step into the new year, and da 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 da. And at first I was rolling my eyes, and then I really sat down. Something in my spirit, like, it just felt different. It felt like, and I remember sitting down saying, like, is this for me? I looked up, and I hadn't done that in so long. I looked up and I said, is this for me? And something just felt like it was for me to pay attention. So I rewinded it and started from the beginning, and I just listened, and I started boohoo crying. And then I was like, well, I want to give myself over to God. I want to walk with God. I want to read the word. I want to do all these things, but, like, I don't know where to start. And I remember in a message, another, what do they call it? Sermons? Another sermon he was talking about, you guys always talking about, like, where to start. Hello, Google. And I was just like, yo, get out my business. For real. Get out my business, because you do not know me like that. He was right, though. We find everything on Google, Instagram, TikTok, all this stuff. So why can't I find where to start? So I did go on TikTok, and if I could find her video, I'm going to put it here. She talked about, like, which chapters to start at. and how to continue to go throughout the Bible. So she said, start at John. And what John will do is teach you about Jesus, what he has done for us, his story, his miracles, the disciples, all that stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm watching it, and one day, like, I work from home, and I I turned on my Fire Stick, and the home screen shows you like shows that you could possibly watch and stuff. And this thing said The Chosen. And I was like, oh yeah, I downloaded that earlier this year. I saw it on something. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I downloaded it, and it looked like legit, look old school to me. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to watch this. So I just never went back to it. This was in January. So we are in October? In September, I went back on my Fire Stick, and same homepage, and Chosen came up again. I was like, okay, let me turn this on, because like I said, I said out loud that I want to get more closer with God and Jesus Christ. I want to understand my faith. I want to be closer to the Most High, you know what I'm saying? So I started reading the Bible, and then it wasn't working on its app. So I was like, I believe in science. So I just was like, well, maybe I'm not meant to watch this. And then something came up, and somebody was talking about they watched it on Prime. So I opened Prime, and here we are. We got into The Chosen. And I binge watched that. Let me tell you something. I binge watched The Chosen from season 1 to season 4. But I decided to do a review on the show because I know there's a lot of people out there who are just walking in their faith, who are starting over, who don't know where to begin, who don't understand certain things, who are like me, who has questions and feel embarrassed to ask it. But I'm not going to let that hold me back from spreading the word, from connecting with other people just like me, and for strengthening my faith, because I feel uncomfortable or I feel embarrassed with the questions that I ask or the understanding that I don't have. So here we are. We are reviewing The Chosen. My name is Shay. So let's get right into it. So in today's episode, we are talking about my first impressions and my just overview of the series, because I told you I've watched the whole thing. So first impressions, like I said, in January I saw it. I thought, this is old, child. I ain't got time for it. But when I really sat down and watched it, it's not old. Like, it was in BC, of course, before Christ. So the time was old, but the cinematography and it just was beautiful. It was actually really beautiful. I like the fact that they do it in Dallas. I mean, not Dallas, but in Texas. I live in Dallas, so that was pretty cool. But it just, the colors, the autumns, the oranges, the greens, the browns. I just enjoyed how they made the characters more humanistic. They didn't feel like how the Bible like makes them kind of feel rough and just like, although that's a part that you need to learn, this was more palatable. This was more better to absorb. I did enjoy, I'm gonna tell you right now, my favorite character is Matthew. Favorite character. The one I dislike, this might be controversial, but can we get into some things? The one I dislike the most, like not the most, is Simon, who was once Peter. He got my nerves, child. I ain't gonna hold you. And Thomas. I understand Thomas to a certain extent. We'll get into that in other videos, but the premise of The Chosen is it speaks about the story of Jesus, what he did, his execution, his resurrection, what he did with Lazarus, how he found his disciples, his mom. Listen, I have so much respect for Mother Mary. So I always did, because I remember those stories as a child. I always did. But just watching this, it just makes you sit down and like, yo, as a mom, I'm not a mom, but to know that your child and what your child is going to go through and still stick beside him with a smile and just a regalness about you. Love that woman. The way in which The Chosen was filmed, and the story and how the storytelling, I truly enjoyed it. As a millennial, I like to understand what I'm watching and reading. I don't mind being educated, but when it goes above my head, I check out. And there's been a lot of plays, movies out there that talks about Jesus and stuff. And it just makes it seem like Jesus is, which he is, he, she, whoever you define Jesus as. I'm not trying to get into that with anybody, but it just shows Jesus as, in other places, just the Almighty, which, like I said, which he is, the Almighty. You can't talk down to him. You can't ask no questions. You're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be killed. Things are gonna be taken. It just showed him as like the strictest of the parents, and it just made it really, I don't know. It made you almost like scared. In The Chosen, the story just felt more real. Like, they took creative chances, of course. They say it in the beginning, but all in all, they're getting this from the Bible, and it just made it feel just more real. It just made it feel more enjoyable, but still understanding the seriousness and what this man has done for us and how we're living life, how we should. I just enjoyed it so much more from all the other things that I have watched. No knock to them, but like, this was more modern, to be honest. It was more modern. It was just, like I said, it was just easier to digest, but you still got the message. You understand? There still was points where you cried. There still was points where you were like, yes. There still was a point where you reflected like, dang, I'm still getting messages and getting kicked in the head by this show because of personal stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, going into this, I didn't expect much. Coming out of it, I can't wait for season 5, 6, and 7. I just cannot wait. So this is my first impressions of The Chosen. This is my what you would call it, my series overview in a sense, and also an introduction to who I am. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We are gonna get into some things, honey, because let me tell you something. I'm gonna be reviewing this show, but I'm gonna review it in a unique way. I'm not gonna just go scene by scene by scene. In each episode, I'm gonna give a synopsis, of course, but we're gonna highlight my favorite character in that episode, why they were, and the highlights, like quotes and stuff like that. So we're gonna get into it. I'm excited because I am learning, and I'm showing y'all as I learn in my new walk with faith. Like, come on. Child, let me drink my kombucha. I like this. Anyways, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video. Don't forget to turn on all, child, of your notification bells, because I don't want you to miss this education. I don't want you to. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.